can can you hear me?
Yes, Prof, I can hear you.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm not sure what's going on with that. By the way, giving a few minutes for others to join, and we soon get started on our second day.
Okay.
I'm having problem in with my laptop. So can you just pull my presentation yesterday? I just wanted to take a look at the just the slide on the CTS Scholar program. So I'm gonna ask you to put it up. Just that one slide later on.
That the one you presented yesterday, right?
Yeah, just yes, just the one, just the slide on the CTS Scholar program. Good morning, everyone. We're started again today with our second day of the Nisa Research Week. Those of you who were here today, we do. In the broader context of implementation science, we're going to be talking today about capacity building. Capacity building is a very interesting part of research because that is how the next generation of teachers are formed. That is how the people who have been given a lot in time will not exactly show up when you know. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Prof. I can hear you.
I'm not sure what is going on. Is everyone hearing?
We stopped hearing that.
It was not very clear, but now we can hear
What is
you.
going on?
We can hear you right now, Prof. Initially, it was having some issue, but we can hear you now, sir.
Okay, please, if you're not hearing me, can someone speak up? I wouldn't know, please, so that I'm just speaking to myself, so I will find out.
Okay,
So
sir.
I was talking about capacity building and what we are going to focus on today, and why that is very important for the African region. The one important thing about capacity development is that is how you prepare the next generation to learn some of the things that the old generation have learned, but also to build on that the new generation. So it starts not just about what they're able to do, but how they think, how they really look at things that we allow what is already known, but also already known from the past and chart new directions. If we only learned what we already know, and that's where we stop, all of us will still be using those phones that you rotate to dial. None of us will have internet. None of us will have all the new things that have. So one thing is, of course, to understand where we are today, understand where we are going tomorrow, and be able to have skills. The educational programs that we have in Africa sometimes just teach about what we know and what has been. So we still read the history of so many different things when we actually don't even understand the history of Africa itself. So it is important in terms of capacity building that we learn what is already known, but also use that to focus on what is new. Again, I'm not sure what is happening. Keep rotating as if you were coming. So I don't know if I'm not sure why it's not sharing on the screen. So today, what we are going to focus on is the many pathways to which capacity building is done. One of the things you will notice over time, you that went to medical school in Nigeria or went to university in Nigeria more than 20 years ago, we realized that research was not part of the curriculum. If you go back and look at what our professors did as research when they were in the university a lot of years ago back in Nigeria, you see that what we used to call KAP, knowledge, attitude, and practice. And that is where most of them stopped. That was not because they were not smart. That was not because they weren't innovative. That was because very good research required funding, and our own government did not make that priority in terms of funding research. So almost people who did, I don't know if it's continuing, but people who did their residency, their fellowship in Nigeria have to actually pick money from their pocket to fund those research for them to get their masters, for them to get their PhD. I have stories about people spending more than £1 million to, do their project for their PhD project in those times. I don't know what that money is now. But if you think about it, that these are people you are preparing to compare in a world where somebody goes to undergraduate with a T32 and have the university cover their school fees, have the research projects grant for them. That you have there, they finish their training, they come in to a faculty with a K grant, 5 year grant that protects 75% of their time so that they can focus on research. You can see a lot of can you look at what is going on?
Okay. What's going on, bro? Because the slide is just standby, it's not moving.
Okay, can you still hear me?
Yeah,
Yes, we
you
Probably.
can, but
Okay,
but
thank you so much.
your picture is your screen sideways.
Uh, uh, because better. Is it still sideways?
No, great now.
Okay, sorry, I'm doing it on my phone. I'm not exactly sure the internet in the hotel I'm staying and it's not sharing very well. So I hope you can see and be able to do that. So I was talking about the capacity development, about where we are, and why where we need to understand where we are and where we need to go. So I was talking about how we were so disadvantaged about 20 years ago, in terms of being prepared and being to join the global workforce. So for many people who went to school in years back, you can understand those challenges when you go out of Nigeria. But over the last 20 years, there have been a concerted effort to build capacity in research in Nigeria as in most African countries. In forefront of that has been the United States National Institute of Health, the Wellcome Trust, the NIHR, the Canadian Global Research Institute. So many different countries have invested in so many different African countries to provide some of the funding that is needed for people to train and gain the capacity that they need and be able to develop those things to understand the problems that are today, but also prepare themselves to meet the challenges of tomorrow. And that is a recognition that came from people understanding that it is not so easy to take something that been developed in Canada, in the US, in Australia, and move them straight to Nigeria and expect that it's going to work exactly the same way with the same outcome that it gave in Nigeria. So people began to realize that context matters and that the people who are best to solve the problem of their place is people who understand the context of that place. So they recognize that just pushing money to African countries aren't going to solve the problems when the people who you are giving the money, asking them to spend the money, do not understand those concepts. So the US government actually did one thing that has been remarkable in a change. There is that one of the grants called a K grant, which is a training grant, initially was reserved for all American citizens and all people who are permanent residents in the United States. But they changed that grant and created a new grant that's called K43. That K43 allows you to apply from any of the developing countries for a training grant. It gives you about the same thing it gives the Americans, which is 5 years of protected time for you to focus and develop as a researcher. I think it was one of the best gifts among so many gifts that the United States government has given to African countries, have been the K grant in terms of research. When Dr. Bembe is going to speak about it, and I'm going to introduce her shortly about the K grants and what they're going to, what the benefits they are, who qualifies for them, and then we are going to have one of the grantees who has a K43 from Nigeria to be able to present the work they are doing with the K43. But I always say, if you ask me, the best grant for anybody that is training is the K grant. The next grant that is very important is the D43. The D43 are training grants. They are also 5-year grant, just like the K43. But instead of supporting an individual, the D43 support an institution, an university or a research institute to be able to develop research training curriculum and be able to train more than one person. So they train 5, 10 people sometimes over the course of the 5 years, sometimes over a year. It is an intensive program. Some of them will lead to master's, some of them will lead to PhD, some of them are postdoctoral period of time that is trained. These two grants have been a gift to Nigeria and so many African countries that have used that in developing today. So we are going to have Dr. Professor Musa, Jonah Musa, talk a little bit about the D43s. These are institutions like University of Jos, University of Ibadan, University of Lagos that have also had D43s in terms of their grant.
Okay.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
can you mute, please? Okay. So these two grants, I just came out from a meeting that is still ongoing now from the Fogarty International Center of the NIH. Most of these grants from the United States came from the Fogarty International Center. What is happening? Ikena, can you mute? Okay. What is happening at that meeting is a very gloomy future for the international global thing, as everybody have known. There are talks that the Fogarty International Center will be closed. This is how most of the global grants that all non-United States citizens are able to get. This is where the K43, this is where the D43 sits. It will be a devastating thing. But think about it, over the last couple of years, 10, 15 years, there have been those types of training. And one of the things we're beginning to think as this new administration in the US have shown us, the African country, that's exactly what they're talking about, has to step up and then be able to support a part of what they have been use the information they have been trained. The institution that have received D43s to become a training institution and be able to continue to train people in that particular place and not stop because this funding stopped. So again, this fits into the theme of this research week, which is how to sustain programs beyond the funding area. And one of the things we're talking about is how to sustain capacity building programs the beyond the funding area. One of the things that I put this slide up that Ikenna is showing is one of the effort that the Nigerian Implementation Science Alliance has made over these past 5 years. And that is to have a project that is actually what we call a structural give back. So we have invited individuals who have received grant funding to be mentors and be able to be mentor to anyone across the country. Of course, as you know, the D43s go to institution. Most of the time, the institutions select people, and we're going to hear from two of the D43s today about their programs. But most of the time, those programs are limited for that institution to select people only from that institution. And of course, you know that that in that way, then what happens to the so many institutions in Nigeria that do not receive those training grants, or in other African countries that do not receive those training grants. So there is an expectation over time. We are hopeful that those institutions that now have the capacity will continue to do that. And NISA has one of the collaborative capacity across all the partners and NISA that have actually received the grant, universities that. So we thought that this scholar program would be one way that they continue to sustain that. So even when the D43 are ended, the training grants, can they continue to support and train people? So this is a 52 weeks hybrid didactic period. It's involved in 24 weeks of people spending time on didactic and going over all the technical skills and all the professional skills that are required for you to become a leader and have a successful career in grant. So it teaches you how to write grant, how to put a proposal together, how to submit grant, how to manage the grant, but also how to select a research team, how to manage a research team, how to manage grant itself in terms of grant administration and management. The unique thing different from this particular program is that it is not funded by any grant. It is a volunteer faculty. Everyone that had been a faculty on the CITIA grant has been a volunteer faculty all through the years. And each year we have asked for application from across the country, and we have a selection committee that is driven from people all across Nigeria, but also African countries and the people who are living in diaspora. So this fits very well into one of the things the Minister of Education in Nigeria talks about, which is the diaspora bridge. The diaspora bridge, as most of you may have heard about from the Minister for Health, is a way to tap into the wealth of experience and wealth of knowledge and expertise that lie in Nigerian faculty, but also in Nigerian faculty that are in diaspora, and be able to bring these two faculty to do there. In the City Scholar, we call it a shared faculty vision. That shared faculty vision is that a lot of the faculties are people who are in Nigeria, who have received grant in Nigeria, who have worked on research and successfully done so in Nigeria, and also pairing them together with people who are Nigerians who are outside of Nigeria to be able to do that. And what we think is going to be a model of what so many other countries will do. So for 10 years, since NISA started, in the last 5 years, that's when they started the City Scholar program. This past year was a fourth cohort of a core cohort when we designed, finally have the faculty set and also the curriculum to be able to continue this every year by year. This year, we had 168 applications. We selected 20 people, and finally, we have about 15 people that are going through the course right now. Something changed in these particular things because we started to think about sustainability. This has been a free course all through the period of time, and what we've done differently with this course is to charge a certain amount of money to be able to hire a coordinator for the whole program, to be able to do that. And that is a way to say the faculty that serve on this still serve on this free, they're not paid. But there's the people who believe that they've been given a lot and they want to have a structured way to giving back. So if you or anyone that you know have the capacity, have received grant, have benefited from that training, and want to give it back in terms of a way to do this, is the Nigerian Implementation Science Alliance is a platform to do that. Of course, as I showed yesterday, there are so many organizations, up to 40 of them, that are now part of the alliance in Nigeria, and that's something they have. They have many components that it is. One of them is what you're seeing this week, which is the research week. But you also have a 2 to 3 hour research in progress every week. That is done every week, 2 to 3 hours every week for 50 weeks. We have done that for 5 years now. You have the monthly webinars that you see. All of these things are free. You have the research week, as this week is going. All of that is also free. Then you have the conference, which is coming up September 10 to 13 this year in Abuja, and has happened every year in Abuja for the last 10 years. This will be the 10th year of the conference. And that is a place, again, that's a good opportunity for you to have a framework to meet other investigators, to meet new people. We strive to say, instead of sending one person to the US or Canada or Australia, can we use that to bring one person from those places to come down to Nigeria and be able to meet a lot more people, and a lot more people have an opportunity for that one, for that person. So we have done that by bringing a lot of people who are well known in implementation science, and be able to come down. 2 years ago in 2023, the NIH actually has their first investigator meeting in Nigeria, and that was in collaboration with Nisa, and that was really something that we enjoyed because all the faculty that came there were also participated in Nisa. Last year conference, we were able to bring in people from 5 different continents to be able to do that. Why am I spending time to talk about this? Because even as I come out of this meeting from Fogati today, I recognize that institutions in Africa have to begin to think about sustainability plan the way they know it. They clearly said in the meeting, if you think we are going to go back to what we used to happen before this administration, you must be sleeping, that it will never be the same. So that means we have to adjust, we have to modify, and the expectation, they said clearly in that meeting, that everything moving forward is going to be transactional. And they actually said in that meeting that one of the things they're looking at, as you can see in the government, was to drop a lot of investment in Africa, except African countries that have gold, have diamond, and have rare minerals. So everything is going to be transactional. So what do you bring? What do you have? Well, if you give us the diamond, the gold, and everything, then we will give you those resources. So these grants that you get may not happen anymore as we move forward. So what does that mean? But there have been a lot of investment from PEPFAR, from NIH, from so many organizations to train a lot of institutions, a lot of individuals in Nigeria. It is time for us to be able to sustain those things as the things keep going on. So I'm going to transition from here to what we're going to do, like we did yesterday, is to set a little bit of a poll for us to understand a few of the questions that you have, especially in capacity development, that you want to be asking during this period. So, Personally, if you can put into the uh, the the chat box the link to the poll, so please, if you have a chance, it won't take long. It's a short poll, but the poll gives us a little bit of information about the things you would like to hear, the things you would like to see, the topics you would like us to cover, and the questions that you want to have, so that we can try to address that this period. What I'm going to take opportunity to introduce two of our faculty today that is going to moderate this session in today. So one of them that I'm going to introduce is Dr. Bembe. Dr. Chineye Bembe is a public health researcher. Very few people who has a PhD in implementation science in Nigeria. I always tell her that she stands alone in a very small population of people who actually formally has a PhD in implementation science. She was trained by the WHO TDL Implementation Science Program in the University of Ghana. and then returned to Nigeria to join the Evan Research Institute as a postdoctoral fellow. She was one of the exemplary fellow that we have put there, and she's working on a very important project that will be announced at the Nisa conference this year about how to sustain capacity development from the experience we have gained over the last 5 years from doing the City Scholar program. She has worked on many NIH grant, including the UO1, a 5-year grant that was funded by NCI. She has participated in a lot of mentoring, both for staff that works with her at the Van Research Institute, and she is going to be taking a lot of leadership in terms of how to build mentor early career investigator. Again, from her experience of someone who trained in Africa with a bachelor's, her master's, her PhD were all done in Africa, but who has a lot of contact with people from very different area and have seen the gaps in our educational program from herself, and then be able to see how those gaps can be filled. So you're going to hear a lot about Dr. Bembe in the future. But today she's going to walk us a little bit, talk about the K43 that I talked about, and also introduce our K43 guarantee that is going to be speaking to us about his project and the K43 that I talked about, and be able to answer questions from all of you. The other person that I want to introduce that is going to join Bembe is John Amusa. John Amusa is a professor of obstetrics and gynecologist at the University of Jos. She is a well-known public health researcher in infectious diseases and cancer epidemiology. He does have a focus on cervical cancer. Of course, he's an obstetrician, but he did complete advanced training as a Fogarty Fellow. When I talk about the Fogarty and the move to close the Fogarty, he's one of somebody who can talk about the benefit that he got from being a Fogarty Fellow. He also did most of his medical school and training in Nigeria, but had this opportunity as a fellow to train at the Northwestern University, where he earned a master's in clinical investigation and a PhD in health sciences. So he has done a lot of work and has collaborated on a lot of NIH-funded programs, especially the collaborating University of Northwestern University in the United States, where he holds an adjunct faculty. He is going to talk. He also, I forgot to say, is also a principal investigator on one of the D43. So one of what he's going to do today is really to moderate between two other two people that are going to talk about their D43, what their D43, which is a training grant, what it does, how does it select people in the train, how do they hope to sustain those programs when those research funding is gone. And as we're knowing today, if Fogarty closes and most of those fundings are withdrawn, how will they continue the gains over the years that they have received from those D43? So please join me in welcoming Dr. Bembe and Dr. John Amusa. So I will hand it over to Professor Onyeka. Do you want to show the pool, or do you want Dr. Bembe to take it off from
Yeah.
here?
Okay, though, let Dr. Bembe take it off. We can look at the poll after Professor Balogun's presentation.
Okay, so please join me in welcoming Dr. Chinenye Bembe to talk a little bit about the K43 and invite the guarantee, Dr. Balogun, to talk about his project. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Professor Izanuli. Welcome, everyone. I'm sure we're going to have a great time today. Okay, so without wasting much of our time, let's quickly go to the short presentation on the K43. Permit me to share my screen, please. Please, can you see my screen?
Not yet.
Okay.
Just hold on. Just hold on. Yes. We saw it and then it went off.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Please let me know if you
Yes,
can see it now.
you
All
can.
right. All
Thank
right.
you.
All right. So what is this K43 grant we are discussing today? So this is a special award offered from the Fogarty International Center of the US NIH. And it's particularly for early career researchers from low and middle income countries to enable them train to become global leaders in health research. This is the full name, Emerging Global Leader Award. So the purpose of the K43 grant is, I've mentioned already, to support early career scientists based in low middle income countries in terms of research, mentorship, and training. So it's not just the usual kind of funding of a particular study. Here, the applicant receives opportunity, to be trained in research conducts, mentoring, and also opportunity to attend or participate in training opportunities. The K43 provides protected time up to about 5 years for the applicants, to enable the applicants develop research skills and advance their careers. So the person wouldn't be laden with the usual assignments or responsibilities, such as maybe lecturing or other administrative assignments. So this K43 provides protected time up to 5 years to just focus on training to become a global research leader. All right, so who can apply? So this K43 grant is specifically for nationals of LMIC. That is, you must be a citizen from a low and middle income country. You should also be a junior faculty at your institution, whether a university or a research institute. You should be at the early stages of your career. And that means you should be within 10 years of obtaining your PhD or your MD or the equivalent. So the next thing we would like to know is, what does this award include? What is it made up of? So usually there is funding of 125,000 US dollars every year for 5 years. And this is split into two. So you have salary with a sitting up to 75,000 US dollars every year. And this enables the applicant to, or the recipient, to be able to focus 75% of your work time. That's why we say you have protected time just to focus on training, mentoring, and research. Okay, and the other part, you can get up to $50,000 every year. And this one is to support that research study you'll be focusing on. And that entails your field work, data collection, conference attendance, maybe mentoring meetings, and even opportunity for you to receive other kind of training on maybe special courses that would help your area of expertise. And it's very important to note that you would have to work with 2 mentors. So this program, you work with 2 mentors. First, the first mentor will be from your country or a low and middle income country based mentor. And the second one will be a US based mentor, usually a global health expert. Okay. What kind of research is eligible for the K43 grants? So the proposed research must be a health-related topic that is of real priority to your country. So it's not just about selecting a topic or an area that is academically interesting. No, it has to be something that answers a priority question, a public health priority question in your country. All right. And your proposal or your research should be realistic, should be something that you can carry out well with the available funding you have, the mentors available to you, their mentoring, and also the time that you have. So your time funding and mentorship should be considered. That talks about how feasible your research is. So that's very important. So you see that the end goal is not just about funding a research study. It is for you to become an independent global research leader, somebody that can manage major grants like the, NIH RO ones. So yeah, like I said, the goal is to build local capacity by training independent low and middle income country global health researchers. So also the K for the three enables recipients, I've mentioned this, to apply for larger independent grants. And it supports long-term career development. So as you can see, it's not just, it takes you beyond short career kind of training. You even get global research visibility, and the mentoring you also receive, it goes a long way throughout your career to make you better and a global leader in terms of research. All right. Okay, so I'm going to lead us to the Fogarty website, where we'll briefly look at the reach of this Cape of the Tree across Africa. Remember that the target population, so to speak, is early career scientists in low and middle income countries. So follow me, let's go to the Fogarty website and try to see how the Cape of the Tree Award has so far been distributed, okay? So please, I'm now at, are you seeing my screen, trying to search for the Emerging Global Leader Award? Let me know if you can see me.
Yes, we can.
Right, thank you. So you can just Google, like I told us, the official title is Emerging Global Leader Award. That's the key for the three. So if you just put it in this Google, you can see this is Emerging Global Leader Award. So this is where I'm going. This is the page, right? All right, so this is Fogarty International Center. So this is the page. So it's saying here, accepting applications. There are two tracks, the ones that require clinical trial and the ones that do not require clinical trial based on what you want to do. Okay, let's quickly go. You can always come back to this on your own to interact more and to learn how things are doing. So let's go to this point. We want to view the list of emerging global leader awards by countries this time. Okay, I'm clicking on this. Okay, I'm going to select country. All right, let's begin with South Africa. How many Cape of the Three awards do we currently have in South Africa? All right. So you can see with me, oh, this is 26. South Africa, 26. Okay. And you can even see the kind of projects they do. When you click, you can read more so on your own. Just come back and do this and understand better. You can look at the institutions involved, okay? So I'll take us to East Africa precisely. Let's use Kenya as an example. Kenya. All right. So we have 7 awardees here. 7 for Kenya. Please, on your own, take time to read through, see the kind of topics that are funded, the institution, the principal investigators, all right? But this is just to show us how to do this. And lastly, let's look at West Africa. And I'm going to use Ghana as an example. Ghana. Why this filter here? Ghana. This is West Africa, Ghana. And we have 5K awards. 5 of them. Okay. All right. So yeah, so this is just to appreciate the distribution of the reach across Southern, Western, and Eastern Africa. You can do this more detailed on your own. All right. Okay. All right. So yeah, on that
Dr.
page,
Bembe, can you show Nigeria also?
all right. Okay. Let's go to Nigeria. Nigeria. This is Nigeria. Nigeria, we have how many? 18. 18. And look at
Thank you.
some of
I
the,
guess I wanted to show that because a lot of people here are from Nigeria, so they can understand that how that works in Nigeria. Thank you.
yes, Prof. And we can even see some of the institutions that have received this. This is Ahmed Bello University. So yeah, so it's doable also in Nigeria. People have already gotten the award, and this is a beautiful opportunity for early career scientists. So we don't no longer have to wait for outside researchers to lead major grants. You know, this is to train early career scientists to be able to lead major research grants. Okay. All right. So thank you for your attention. It's just a short, little overview. All right. Yeah. So, Prof, do I proceed to introduce um, the grantee
Yes, please.
or the,
Yes,
okay.
please.
Yes, please.
All right. So thank you. Thank you everyone for staying along with me. So I don't know whether you followed me to look through when we considered Nigeria. So one of the recipients is here with us today to share with us his experience. Somebody has applied and won this grant. So we're going to be learning and sharing from his experience. So it is my great pleasure to introduce Professor Emmanuel Balogun, Emmanuel Oluwadare Balogun. He's the leading figure in biomedical research, and he's based at the Department of Biochemistry, Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, where he currently serves as a professor of biochemistry and molecular biology. His research focuses on the development of innovative tools, including vaccines, therapeutics, diagnostics for diseases that are endemic to Africa, particularly African trypanosomiasis. Professor Balogun leads a vibrant research group and mentors dozens of postdoctoral and postgraduate students, including MSc students, PhD students across Nigeria. And in addition to his role at the ABU Zaria, he holds adjunct and visiting appointments at esteemed institutions, including University of Tokyo, Japan, and the University of California, San Diego. His collaborative work has resulted in over 100 publications and numerous international awards. Notably, Professor Balogun has continued to advance his academic career while on the K43 award. And that is a testament to the fact that this program, not K43 that we've just had the overview, it doesn't only support research excellence, but it also supports and helps you to develop in terms of institutional leadership and career development. Please join me in welcoming Professor Balogun as he shares his K43 journey and insights with us today. Professor Balogun, please, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bimble. I appreciate that kind introduction. So can I share my slide?
Yes, please. Yes.
All right. Please, can you all see my slide?
Yes, please, we can see
All
your
right.
slide.
Thank you very much. So I have just about 7 minutes, so I will just rush through the introductory part because we are already all aware of the subject matter, Again, I'm from Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, and I always like to talk about my beautiful campus. A number of people here perhaps have never visited EBU Zaria. This is an opportunity for an invitation. Please, if you want to come to Zaria, just shout out to me and I will give you an invitation to come and see our campus. So this Zaria is in the northern part of Nigeria, quite a peaceful city, beautiful campus, and beautiful people around. So I am thankful to the organizers of Nisa Research Week for inviting me to share my experience. As a recap of yesterday we learned from David about implementation science, and the recap or the basic takeaway, one of the major objectives for me from yesterday's lecture and from what I know is that implementation science can accelerate basic and clinical genomics, uh, eventually, which will lead to changing routine clinical practice. Uh, Dr. Bembre introduced me to be a biochemist, so I'm a basic scientist. So I'm not a clinician, I'm a biochemist, and then I'm sure a number of people will be wondering what has a biochemist got to do with implementation science. I think we are really the life sciences are the foundation to implementation science. You can look at this objective. There is a reference here that we look at. So what is my K43? Dr. Bembred did a very wonderful. She summarized everything about. I wish I attended. I mean, this was before I applied. It would have made life much easier for me during my application process. So K43 is basically to conduct research and to get, particularly to develop in your career, to obtain some trainings that will help you in the future. So the title of my K43 was Multi-Targeted Approach to Rational Design of Novel Therapeutics for Human African Trypanosomiasis UKC. Novel therapeutics, of course, implementation science is basically about interventions. So African trypanosomiasis, many of us know this because our country is endemic to African trypanosomiasis. It's transmitted by tsetse fly to humans and animals. By the pathogen is called trypanosomes. And this disease, up to date, is still a major problem, although not anymore so much in humans, but mostly in animals. I know annually, Africa loses over $5 billion worth of animals, livestock to this disease. And this, of course, contributes to underdevelopment. There's no vaccine. And then there's also no satisfactory drug because the few drugs available are toxic. Some of them have become, I mean, the pathogens have become resistant to them. And you can see our country, Nigeria, is really one of the affected countries across the belt, across sub-Saharan Africa. So with this problem, as a scientist, I mean, as a biochemist, long ago, I was thinking, how can I contribute towards helping my country or a continent to solve this problem? As a biochemist, we cannot do without reaction pathways or metabolic pathways. So I had a delve into the metabolic pathways of this parasite, and I identified that there is a particular pathway which we all know. Anyone who has done medicine or who has done say, basic science, biology, will know the pathway called glycolysis. Or if you have done some basic metabolism in biochemistry, this parasite subsists on glycolysis. And after investigating the glycolysis of the parasite, we identified two key enzymes, triglycerol and TAO. I'm not going to detail into the science of this, but I'm just giving you a background that formed the foundation upon which my K43 was built upon. So with this, I hypothesized that if I'm able to obtain an inhibitor that can block these two enzymes, perhaps the parasite will die, and then this will be a therapeutic agent, candidate rather. So because there's no inhibitor, and I know as a scientist, as a biochemist, how important inhibitors are. So I studied during the course of my PhD, I studied the glycerol kinase of African trypanosomiasis. I also studied the other second enzyme of African trypanosomes rather, towards solving the structure. So I'm a molecular biologist, I'm a biochemist, a molecular biologist. I study the molecules to see how I will be able to exploit them towards intervention development. In this case, intervention is therapeutics. and that therapeutic, the active component, will be an inhibitor of glycerol kinase or an inhibitor of TAO. Of course, again, during my PhD, I studied those enzymes, meaning that I did wet lab. It wasn't only bioinformatics. I produced these enzymes and crystallize them and study them to see what they look like. And then from there, I will be able to design a very good inhibitor. This is such a, very simple experiment, but the outputs were that we were able to crystallize the protein, we were able to purify it for the first time. No one could do that until we attempted it, produce it, crystallize it, and then studied it in detail to be able to know the properties of this enzyme. The second enzyme too, which is alternative oxidase, we studied that in detail. Our group provided the first structure of this enzyme being a membrane protein. It was a difficult one. For glycerol kinase, again, we reported all this. And then, as a biochemist, I'm much more interested in mechanisms. So I was able to unravel the mechanism of this enzyme during my postdoc. Okay, that was my postdoctoral studies. And then from these, I was able to decipher that if I'm able to, to screen compounds that against this enzyme, I'll be able to obtain inhibitors, which I did. And luckily, I was able to obtain some inhibitors, which were the first inhibitors that
So I
could.
was supposed to have my day from
Excuse me?
starting from
Hello?
yesterday. It didn't
Should
happen
I stop?
yesterday. So I had to find somewhere to sleep.
Okay.
No, sorry,
So,
please go ahead.
all right. So, then during my postdoc, I mean, there was a grant I got earlier. I used that grant to generate the proof of concept. And this proof of concept was that if I could get an inhibitor, so the first time we obtained an inhibitor that could target, target the two enzymes and ablate the function of the parasite. So with this, with that background, I decided, okay, maybe I should attempt a K43. I did these studies, the previous studies, I did them at the University of Tokyo in Japan. But, as Dr. Bembe mentioned that K43 provides you with protected time. Okay. So, and one of the aim of K43 is to be able to attract talents back to Africa and retain them there based on what she showed you. So I constituted a team, and the team is comprised of myself as a principal investigator, and then my mentors. She mentioned these. You need a US-based mentor, you need a Nigeria-based mentor, okay, and then co-mentors and then collaborators. I think I will elucidate further more on this during the Q&A. So again, this was the project title. Of course, for K43 and most NIH grant, there should be specific aims. Usually, they are you should have 2 or 3 specific aims. So I formulated the specific aims. I mean, the aim, okay, to obtain inhibitors by screening library in UCSD, and then to identify inhibitors and optimize those inhibitors, and then to use those inhibitors to design, dual targeting dual targeting compounds. Again, importantly, as Dr. Bibri mentioned, that the training aspect is very important. And of course, I had to formulate also a training activities. This is just a summary of my training activities: high throughput screening, data analysis and management, and then the parasite genomics, microscopy, drug resistance screening, intervention research, grantmanship, structural biology, medicinal chemistry. These were trainings I identified in the application. I identified my training gaps, meaning that those aspects of the science that I need to be able to be a good to become an emerging global leader that I need to fill. So these were the gaps, and I identified clearly where I will be obtaining those trainings. Some of them in the United States, some of them in Nigeria, and then some of them in Japan with my collaborators. So what was the expected outcome or the expected outcome? They are very simple: to design trapezoidal compounds. Career development is one of them. Prepare bigger collaborative grants, and then improve collaboration between UCSD, which is my host institution, collaborating institution in the United States, and Ahmadu Bello University Zaria. Okay, and then of course I also have, importantly, I must mention that I have a very good mentor, a co-mentor at Redeemers University, Ede, Professor Christian Happy. I know a number of you know him. He is a global uh, leader, global research leader. So, when you submit your K43 or your grant, actually even R01, any funding to the NIH, There will be sent to reviewers who will critique them, and then there will be what they call a summary statement eventually sent, and in that summary statement there will be scoring. Okay, you can see. So I took one of the worst. I mean, the where I did poorly. Uh, so which is this critic the reviewer number 3. With this reviewer number 3, you can see here the lower the score, the better. So the best you can get is 1, 1, 1, and then 2. You have 2. So it means 1 is better than 2, and 2, of course, is better than 4. So I scored 4 here, which meant that the reviewer wasn't very convinced about my career development plans and goals. And then, okay, so there is a summary statements which will usually provided with it, and then the reviewer look at just for you to have an insight into how it is done. He said they read everything critically and then they provide their feedback. Okay, he said I obtained my PhD in medical parasitology at the University of Tokyo, and I did postdoctoral studies in structural biology and drug design. And at that time, I was senior lecturer in the department. You remember Dr. Bember mentioned that you have to be at the early to mid career. As a professor, I'm not sure you can apply for K43. And at that time, I listed 45 publications. And you heard her when she read my short bio, she mentioned that I have over 100 publications. So meaning that between my K43 and now, I have generated up more than 60 publications. Actually, there are about 70 publications. And the reason is because I had enough time to focus on research and then to train students and write papers. So without it wouldn't have been possible. So and then this so you can see the weakness. These are strengths. The weakness is given extensive training and experience of the candidate, most of the training proposed does not seem ambitious or justified or incremental. So this was this reviewer's view. However, other reviewers scored me 2, 3, 2, 3, so it means that reviewer watered down my final score. So what have I done? I have done the screening of the compounds as I proposed, okay, and I have done the training as I have proposed, okay, and importantly, I have also been able to mentor other students, okay. Most worthy of mention is the fact that I was able to facilitate 2 of my PhD students at ABU Zaria to obtain scholarship to go to my affiliated institution, that is University of California, San Diego, to conduct some aspects of their own PhD. This is Femi. He obtained his PhD from me about 2 years ago, and then Bashiru obtained his PhD. He also went to UCSD under the supervision of one of my co-mentors, which is Dr. Professor Larissa Padast. So he was there. And then, so this is one of the benefits for me. I think the major highlights of my K43 is not that I was able to do research, it's not that I was able to get training, but I was also able to, or I'm also able to train people. All right. So I have trained many people, and this is what we should all opt for. You remember the organizer, Prof mentioned in his opening remarks that training is essential. Africans, we have to train ourselves. We may not be able to obtain, some of the benefits that we got in the past, but we have to intensify. So these are just a few members of my team, of my lab at Zaria, in Zaria. A number of them have graduated, have obtained their PhD. Some of them are postdocs in US, in Germany. Some people are in Saudi Arabia. Some of them are in Japan. Okay, a number of people. So many of them are scattered. Of course, there are still some people who are still working very hard to obtain their degree. So with this, I think it is very clear to supporting what Dr. Bender presented on K43. It encompasses research, it gives you protected time, give you time for career development, training all over the world, across the world, and then because there is funding that will support the travels. So I think I will pause here and then we can have a more robust discussion during the Q&A. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor Balogun. Awesome, awesome. It's been a very intriguing discussion. Oh, thank you so much. I'm encouraged, and I believe many of our early career scientists that are listening to you or that have listened to you, they will definitely go to try out to see whether they could try the K43 grant. We just have very okay. So maybe like the next 10 minutes, let's see how far we can take some of the questions we have, Professor Balogun. So I'll just be reading out the ones that I think we've not heard anything about at all. And if we have more time, then we'll take the rest. Thank you so much for this presentation. Thank you. So the first question that we have for you, sir, is what practical steps would you recommend for preparing a strong K43 application? I'm going to join, there are two, I'm going to join it together. In hindsight, is there anything you would have done differently in your proposal or approach?
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much. So, how to prepare is basically just like I have shown you. You have to, the K43, like again, like I mentioned, is really built on three. Three is on a tripod on three stands. Okay, one is research, actually in order of priority, career development and mentoring, and then training, and then research. So, along the line, you have to be able to conceptualize. It is important, if you apply just for like any other research grant, you need to generate, it is always helpful to generate some preliminary data. And this preliminary data, of course, should be hinged because you cannot apply for K43 if you do not have a PhD. So they should, my advice is that it should be hinged on your previous studies during your master or during your PhD. Basically, that's what I did. During my master, I studied African entrepreneurship. Actually, from my undergrad, my MSc, my undergrad project, MSc research project, and then my PhD were all on trypanosomiasis, but different aspects on trypanosome on the parasite. So I was able to generate some data that projected me as knowing, having an adequate, preparation for the project. All right, that is a project. And then in the course of that, remember, there is also career development and mentoring. I obtained, you need a US mentor. In the course of my career, at some point, I visited UCSD as a Fulbright scholar. So based on that interaction, I already have a US-based mentor. And then in that lab, there were also co-mentors that I worked with when I was there. In Nigeria, I have a US-based mentor who was my MSc supervisor at ABU. I did my MSc at ABU. So, and then I have because I studied in Japan also, I have collaboration. So this kind of made life easier for me when I was coming up with the project. And then what I would have done different, yeah, maybe it's not good to change. Or the good thing is that I got it. Maybe it's not good to change something that I have won. But I think what I will have changed, just like the critic number 3, I probably will have been much more ambitious during the application with my career development plans. That wasn't very good. I think that was where I scored low. But however, my overall score was still, I think, from what they say, impressive. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So let me add something to Dr. Balogun. I know that we don't have a lot of time. We will cut this short, but we will come back. Dr. Balogun, I know you are not around, you're far away. But if you can join us at the end again after the T43, we will have a panel again to answer some of these
Sure.
questions that we don't
Sure,
get
I
to.
will be there.
But there are two things I want to say about Dr. Balogun. He doesn't know it yet, but if he's in Nigeria in September, we are volunteering him to come to Nisa on his own, and then he is going to give back. So if you want to talk to him in person, and I'm asking him, he hasn't heard what I'm saying now. So I'm sure he's laughing and saying, Prof is something else. But that is the only way we're going to have our country develop. We have to give back. This, all we are providing is a structure to do it. And I'm sure to everyone who have received, to them who have received, more is expected. I am sure he will do it. And what I'm asking him is to come to NISA in Abuja in September 10 to 13, so that most of you that come, you will get a chance to catch him, drag him, maybe buy him lunch, and then make sure he spend 1 hour with you so you can show him. And if you catch him in a good time, he might even ask you to send him your K43 draft for him to take a look at. So you can see in the many ways I'm volunteering him of what he can do. But this is the only way we can do this, is for people who have benefited from that system to strengthen that system and make it better. And I can tell you the truth, as someone who have received many grants, when you receive this grant, you are so full of gratitude to what he has done to you that you almost try to force people to give them. And you're like, why can't they take from me? So it has not been people say, oh, I'm looking for a mentor. I'm looking for a mentor. My problem is a mentor. Here is one. So you're writing a K43, this is somebody who have written it, received it, I have done a lot with it and willing to give back on it. So that's something that I want you to remember. Because he didn't get a lot of time to talk about it, but you can see him mentioning it. He didn't want to use the word, but he was very focused. His bachelor's, his master's, his PhD, he has that. So we will take one more question from him from the Q&A, and he's going to be back after the K43 to join the whole panel again and answer some more questions on the K43, because this is a very important part of it. Thank you so much. So Dr. Bembe, one more question, and then we'll go to the D43.
Okay, so we have this question from Edwina Opare. Says, thank you for your comprehensive presentation, Prof. Balogun. How long did it take you to develop your K43 grants application? What guided you, and how did you assemble your team of mentors? If you may, let me just add the second one, almost the same. Thank you, Prof. How can one get a US mentor if one has no formal affiliation with any US university for a K43 grant? So those are the questions for you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. These are very good questions actually, and they are, I think they are the recipe or the ingredients of success to in the K for the three. Okay, the first is how to get a US-based mentor. If you've never been to the US, it doesn't mean you cannot get a US-based mentor. You just have to do extra work, and the extra work, what I will advise is for you to look at in the area of research and training that you expect. Okay, where your proposal will be centered. Who are the leaders in that area that are in any of the US institutions? So you can identify like 5 people in 5 different US institutions and write them email, send them email. Most times I usually do not encourage my students to send emails directly to people because they may not reply them. So it's better you get in contact with your own supervisor or your Nigeria-based mentor who probably may even have a US colleague or a collaborator in the US. So that even makes life much easier for you. The thing is that you must ask questions. I know I have mentored many people, a number of people who have applied for K43 and they got it. Some didn't get. But I think one thing is that people are afraid of asking questions. You have to ask questions. You don't know anything. That was my position. It doesn't mean I was an entity, but I just put myself that I do not know. So I need to ask. So I ask questions. The more questions you ask, the more clearer things will get to you. And then about how long it took me to put up it doesn't take long. The proposal itself is just about 6 pages. I think, yeah, including that's the research strategy and the specific aim is just about 6 to 7 pages. So it doesn't take long. But what takes long is actually the thinking. Okay. The important thing is that you must read the instructions. In my case, I think I spent almost 2 months reading the instruction. She didn't show you, but I think you can see that the instruction it's really extensive. So you take time to read through the instruction carefully, okay, and then continue to conceptualize, ask questions, and then I think it will be clear. As long as you have written a proposal before, I think it's not K43 is not so it's easy. I would say, yeah.
I want to say something about the in addition to what Dr. Balogun is saying. That is the whole idea about one of the things we're doing with the Nisa Implementation Science Alliance and the conferences that we're having in Abuja. We bring down the American scholars so that you come in. Greg Aarons has been to Nisa 7 times this last year. He's at University of San Diego, where you so he is one that developed AP's framework for implementation science. He has been at NISA in Abuja every time. He has worked in Benue. And every year, this year again, he's going to be in Abuja. So again, this is, you don't have that trip to go to US, come to Abuja. That's what we're saying. So you can actually meet people in person. So in addition to meeting Dr. Balogun, maybe next time we're going to add one more thing to his plate and say, can you bring down your mentor from the US to come? And then when his mentor come, he can introduce more people to him. And then, of course, you guys now have to show them why should they, because people say, I'm looking for a good mentor. I say, well, I'm here, I'm looking for a good mentee. So it is not just a good thing to say you are looking for a good mentor. You have to first of all prepare yourself as a good mentee, like he did, so that if somebody was going to look at him and say, I want to mentor this guy, there will be mentors lining to mentor him. It's not him looking for, because of what he has prepared as a good mentee. So one of the things we're going to learn at NISA in September is how to be a good mentee.
so that there will be mentors lining to mentor you because they see you as someone who have focused, and so that nobody wants to throw their energy at nothing. If he went there and he has not done anything, no, like people say, I want a good mentor. How many papers have you written? Zero. How many grants have you attended? Zero. I give him time to think of an idea. They have, so you got to prepare yourself. By the time you have a PhD, you have certain knowledge. If you don't know, read more. If you don't know, ask questions like he said. But I think you don't have to get into, even if you come to meet Greg Aarons and said, you know what, I heard about UC San Diego and I know you're from UC San Diego. I'm a veterinary medicine doctor, and I know that UC San Diego have had a grant with University of Nigeria. They've had a grant with the Biomedical University. Can you introduce me to someone in your department? I can tell you, when he goes back and writes to one of their people and said, I want to introduce you to this person in Nigeria, that person will reply that email. Because now you're being introduced by someone who have been to Nigeria, who have met you in a person. So you're not 419. Remember, Nigeria don't have a very good image. And anybody you write a letter, they think, oh my God, what is he trying to take from me? And that's unfortunate for us. But so one of those things is being able to do that. If people like Balogun introducing you, but also him bringing in his collaborators so that he can introduce you to his collaborators that can expand that. So thank you so much, Dr. Balogun. If you can stay, please, I will ask that you stay because there's so much more question there. But I want to make sure that we touch the D43 because that is the next component. Remember, the K trains an individual. The D trains multiple individual as an institution. So I'm going to hand this over to Professor John Musa to talk a little bit about D43 and bring in the scholar. Thank you, Dr. Bembe. That was an excellent relation. Thank you. Please remain, Dr. Bembe, so that you can bring more of those questions from Dr. Balogun when we come back. Thank you. Dr. John, please. Professor John Musa. I can see Professor Nyeka. Is Professor Musa here?
Oh, maybe he has been here, so maybe it's an internet thing. He has been here. Just 1 minute, please.
Okay, so while we are trying to get Professor Musa on the line, I would talk a little bit. Maybe we should take one more question for Dr. Balogun then.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
So
Professor Nyeka, once he comes in, let me know.
All right, I'm here. I'm here. I don't know.
Oh,
I
okay.
think I was in the wrong room, but I listened to the fascinating presentation by Professor Emmanuel Balogun, and it reminds me a lot about my late uncle, Professor Jonathan Andrews, who I know Balogun definitely will know him. Keep up the good science, Balogun, and wish you the best as you push that area of research that has impact on both humans and animals. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Prof. Jonah. Let me just mention that Professor Andrew Nock was my academic father. I cannot talk about science. Everything I've achieved in science was based on this foundation that he laid for me. He was the giant upon which I stood before I could get scholarship and get even the K43. So he's my academic father. He was my academic
Thank you
father.
very much. Thank you. Thank you. We are related. He's an uncle to me. Thank you. Anyway, so back to D43. Can I share briefly the few slides I have? Um, yeah. All right. Let me just confirm. Is everyone seeing my slides?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Okay, so I want to appreciate Professor Eche for inviting me to be part of this meeting. And he has given a very nice summary of who I am. I'm a professor of obstetrics and gynecology, but relevant to this presentation is that I've been a Fogarty Fellow since 2008. It's Fogarty D43 that trained me in Northwestern, and I got the Master of Science in Clinical Investigation. And subsequently, paved way for us to sustain collaboration between Northwestern University, University of Jos, and we eventually got a HIV-associated malignancy research training program. And through that, I completed my doctoral studies in the Northwestern Health Sciences Integrated program and focusing on health services outcome research. And after that too, I also happened to be one of the pioneer grantees for the K43 in Nigeria, where I did some work on vaginal microbiome in cervical intraepithelial neoplasia and invasive cancer in Jos, Nigeria. Of course, with collaborators in US, and we've been able to publish some papers and advancing in the field following the K43. So I have the pleasure to give us a brief overview of the D43 training program. So as HA has said, the focus of the D43 is to strengthen research capacity of investigators from low and middle income country to be able to do research that are related or are of significant priority to LMIC countries. And I must join him to say that if not for Fogarty, a lot of us wouldn't have ever had an understanding of how to conduct a research and even the skills about epidemiology and how to conceptualize research. So thanks to Fogarty. So the training types, unlike K43 that is focused on an individual researcher to develop both his career and alongside work on a particular research area. The D43 helps to build the research capacity of many individuals, and there are different focus on that. So the long-term training programs are those programs that are at least 6 months and above. So, and this include a master's degree, and some do a PhD, some may do a postdoc, and so any program that is up to 6 months or above is considered a long-term training programs. And most of the institutions, particularly in South Africa and East Africa, where they have had a long history of D43 trainees, a lot of them completed a master's degree, and a number of them also did their PhDs. And most of those trainings were actually done in US institutions. For example, I completed my master's degree and PhD training all at Northwestern University in Chicago. And then you can also build in medium-term training. So medium-term trainings are typically around 3 to 6 months in a specialized area. So you can have somebody who may be a junior faculty or a middle level career faculty, and he has demonstrated interest in a particular area, either infectious disease or non-communicable diseases, hypertension, or any disease of interest. And then you can arrange to have him spend about 3 to 6 months working in a mentor's lab in a particular institution in US. And during that period, he will acquire a lot of skills and then be able to conceptualize and write a proposal, get funding. In fact, some who have done the medium-term training, at the end of it, they have been able to collaborate and they got an R21. Some have gotten other forms of funding that really changed their career trajectory. And then the short-term training, usually about 1 to 3 months. You can build that into the training program. and that person may just go and pick a particular area, maybe do epidemiology and biostatistics. Some may do bioethics or do research, writing and peer reviewing, So depending on the interest of the trainee, and in all of this, there are selection criteria that will guide who will be for long term, who will be for medium term, and who will be for a short term training. Like the short term training, we usually consider it as sandwich training, And we also have one that is even less than a month, or let me say 1 month, and we consider that as faculty enrichment. So when you are developing a D43 training program, you can include all these training components. The long-term trainees, which I mentioned, MSc or PhD, and then the medium training, the short-term training, which we call maybe sandwich training. And then you can also do what we call faculty enrichment, where you have senior faculty, professors, who may not be able to go and spend 3 months, 6 months, or let alone 6 months or 1 year. They can go and spend just 1 month in a particular laboratory or understudy a particular program, and then they can come back home and improve the research culture in their institutions. So there are also institutional capacity building programs. So when you have a D43, you can plan in-country seminars, in-country workshops, and typically during this workshop, you would demonstrate in the program plan that you will select the trainees who are already doing maybe their masters or the medium or short term, and most of them, they will have some research projects ongoing. So you bring them and they will present their proposals, get feedback, and also they will show their plans on the next steps. So in all of this, you also have to build in what we call a career tracking mechanism, where you can follow up the trainees all through. For example, when I was enrolled as MSCI candidate with the Northwestern D43, their first D43, I was their first trainee. So they have my career track all through. Even when I graduated, all the papers I published, the research work, seat grants, and everything, they have a way of tracking all their trainees, and that helps to show the impact that Fogarty is making in terms of training and building capacity of researchers in LMICs. So as HS said in his introductory remarks, this is a very impactful program, and I can tell you it's one of the best things that has happened to many of us who are from the LMIC institutions. So before I look at the training areas, one thing that Fogarty envisioned is that you train and build the research capacity of the LMIC's faculty, and then they come back home in Nigeria or in their own country, Kenya, Ghana, wherever you are, and you do your research there and helps to, propagate the research or expand the research agenda of Fogarty. And that is one thing that will help in sustainability. For example, when I went to US in 2008, I was still relatively younger, and I will have japat then and I will not come back. But I came back and I have been building the research agenda in JAWS till today. And I still have collaboration with the US institutions. So one thing about the D43 is that when you are looking at trainee characteristics, you have to look at a pool of trainees that have the characteristics that have strong ties with their institutions, strong ties with Nigeria, people who will not go and disappear. You know, the faculty will want people who will be trained and they will come back home and continue to do their work. So those who are thinking about writing D43 training programs, that is one strong thing that you need to consider, because reviewers will also see under the section about trainee characteristics, they want to see if you have trainees that have strong ties, or they can come back and build a research agenda back home. So the training areas
hello, Professor Jonah. We just
Yeah.
have 30 minutes to end the entire program.
So I'll
and we
finish
have
now.
two present. Yes.
I'll
Okay.
finish now. So major endemic areas, life-threatening, neglected tropical diseases, infections co-occurring with HIV or associated non-communicable diseases. And then implementation science too came in not too long ago about, I mean, they have faculty D43 for implementation science, including cancer, NCDs and cancers. So eligibility, LMIC institutions, collaboration, the program encourages collaborative training programs between US and LMIC institutions. And then mentored research, trainees are often mentored during their research in their home country, and that's what happened to me as well. And then career development, the training programs aim to prepare individuals for sustainable careers in research. So that's that about D43 training program. Again, it's a very wonderful program, and it's a life-changing career opportunity. And I'm happy to take comments and questions at the end of the session. Thank you very much. Over.
So what we're going to do, Professor Jonah, thank you so much for this overview. We would like for you to introduce the two people that have the D42. We're going to give them a little bit of a shorter time just because of time, at least about 7 minutes each, to just talk a little bit about their experience in the D43. Then we will now invite questions about the D43s altogether.
Okay, so I will introduce Priska Adejimo. Priska Adejimo is a renowned Nigerian nurse and medical sociologist, an academic leader with dual PhDs in nursing as well as in medical sociology. She has led nursing departments at the University of Ibadan and Chrisland University. Her research focuses on cancer genetics and non-communicable diseases, and she has over 100 publications. She was inducted into the prestigious Sigma Theta Tau International Nurse Researcher Hall of Fame in 2022. She has also been a consultant to WHO, and she founded the Focusing on Young Nurses initiative. Professor Priska Adejemo, you're welcome. I don't know, do I go ahead to also introduce Silas
Yes.
Olubunga? Okay.
Yes, go ahead and introduce him also. And after you, then we will give Priska about 7 minutes. All we want you to do is to focus a little bit on your experience in terms of this, because one of the things we want to do is to leave enough questions, because when the participant asks questions, you can see where they really, really want to know, and then you can expand a lot more. So much more on overview. So please go ahead and introduce the second person.
Okay, so thank you. I also have the pleasure of introducing my friend and colleague, Professor Silas Olugbenga Akindele. He's a professor of pathology at the University of Jos and is currently the Pioneer Dean, Faculty of Basic Clinical Sciences at the College of Health Sciences, University of Jos. His research interest is in molecular studies of HIV-associated cancers, particularly cervical cancer. He is lead pathologist in many NIH projects, including one of our funded U54 project, as well as our ongoing U01 implementation science, focusing on HPV-based safe sampling for cervical cancer prevention and control. And currently, he is our contact multiple principal investigator for a D43 that we inherited from the Northwestern Nigerian, Northwestern University, that is now titled Northwestern Nigerian Research Training Program in HIV and malignancies. He is dedicated to establishing a comprehensive cancer tissue biobank and linkage of cancer registry with HIV clinic data while capturing clinical outcomes. And he's doing this in the quest for advancing translational research in the sub-region. It's my pleasure to introduce these two great facilitators, Priska Adejimo, as well as Professor Silas Olubenga Akindele. Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you so much. So, Priska, please take it away and just remember the time, and then so that we can have a lot of people ask you questions. You can see their questions pending. This is a fertile ground for us to, do this. And I'm very grateful to both of you. I know how busy you are, but this is what I talk to them who are giving. More is expected. We all were giving. We all were blessed. So this is giving back in a structured way. Thank you so much. Go for it.
Thank you so much. I'm super excited to be here, and I'm really so grateful to you. And thank you, Musa, for that wonderful introduction. I appreciate it. Okay, you're sharing slide. I wanted to go off, forget about slide and just talk, but it's okay if you want to share, go ahead and share. But let me just quickly say a very big thank you once again to Nisa, organizers at the Ivan Research Institute. Thank you so much for having me, and special thanks to Professor Tonia Onyeka for all the communications that has gone into all of this. Thank you. So I'm going to say a very big story. I know I have 7 minutes, and once it's my time, I just wrap up anywhere. So the first thing I want to say is to just share briefly my experience on D43 as a grant. You've heard the overview. And the first experience I had was in 2012. I had the opportunity to, as a D43 grantee or awardee, to be in the University of Chicago in the US. And I interacted with my host mentor. And with that experience, it opened my eyes to quite a number of things that, honestly speaking, unless we begin to think, as all the speakers here, fantastic people, you can hear all that has happened to everyone because of one link, because of one host mentor, somewhere. So the work and the importance of mentoring can never be overemphasized. I returned, of course, with a re-entry grant to practice what I went to learn in the University of Chicago. I acted as an observer in the University of Chicago Hospital, and I took note of one aspect of care that is missing in our hospital in Nigeria, and that is cancer genetic counseling. So when I came back to Nigeria, my appetite was really whet to begin to look at that area. So I participated in another D43. The one that took me there was written by my mentor, and I participated in writing. We first of all wrote a D71, which was a planning grant. We got it, and we used that D71 planning grant to be able to write for a D43, which we did not get. I'm not talking about the slide at all. I'm just giving you my experience. So I'll come back to the slide as I wrap up in 3 minutes. But what I'm trying to say is that the place of mentoring can never be overemphasized. And so when that D71 planning grant got through, we used it for a D43 that did not get through. And with that, my host mentor in the US suggested to us introducing something, a new variable, which was sickle cell disease. And to bring in a sickle cell disease, we had to bring somebody who is an expert in that area, and that is Obi Unodu in Abuja, University of Abuja there. So we changed the trajectory of that D43 grant to include what is a global body and yet affecting us as a middle-income country in sub-Saharan Africa, which is the issue of sickle cell disease. And we all know about sickle cell disease, and we know what is happening in it. And in 2021, that more than 500,000 babies that were born with sickle cell disease were in sub-Saharan Africa, and 79% of them, that's 80% if you can see it from here. And so that became a very strong point, and it made our D43 grant to go through and sail, and then we got it. And so this one was awarded last year, 2024, for 2029. And in this grant, I wanted to share earlier on, but I closed it. There are 4 MPIs, Unodu herself, myself, and 2 others from Ghana and New York University. So what is important about this, you can move on to the next slide now. I'm jumping, I want to just make it very fast. Move to the next, yes, thank you very much. This one already has this, the question is that sickle cell disease research registries in Nigeria and Ghana. There was a need for diversification of health caregivers to conduct patient-centered research for sickle cell disease as well as other immunopathologies. And Ghana and Nigeria became ideal countries for developing new scholars. As we have heard during Musa's presentation and overview, we have been told that this is a little bit different from K43 because it's not focusing on individual. It's a training that is focusing on large number of persons. And so to constitute institutions like institutions from Ghana, institutions from Nigeria, institutions from the University of Abuja, all of them coming together and developing capacities in new scholars with previous experience implementing a training program in these 2 countries, Nigeria and Ghana. Thank you. Next slide. Thank you. Next slide. Thank you. Aha. So this particular training is the one that's under my purview, and this is about genetic counseling. We want to make sure that this is an aspect that is missing. For example, in the whole of African countries, there's only one in Ghana and one in South Africa. There are no institutions where you have individuals where they can be trained on genetic counseling. There's genetic counseling for individual cases. There are genetic counselors for multiple non-communicable diseases, but there's none. And so people are finding it difficult to be exposed in this area. And what have we done in the past in the area of oncology, for example? What I have used the previous D43 grant that I had the opportunity of being exposed to do was to train nurses across different geopolitical zones in Nigeria to make use of what they have to be able to get what they want. So as nurses have been trained how to take history from patients to the hospital, how to be able to translate this history that is obtained to use nursing process as a framework for caring for these patients. How can they use this to be able to care for people who have oncology cases? And that was what we learned. So in this new D43, we are translating that here by bringing on nurses on board. But this time around, it's not only nurses, because this training is for sickle cell disease, and this sickle cell disease is a thing that affects all of us and different kinds of healthcare providers. So there's interprofessionalism here. We have physicians, we have nurses, we have community health workers and extension workers, we have pharmacists, we have all arrays of healthcare workers that have been trained in this one. It has actually not commenced. It's just going to start this month of June 2025 all through to July. It's a 6-week training that's going to take place, both hybridization format, 4 weeks for virtual and 2 weeks hands-on. And they're going to take place in 3 different centers in Abuja, in Ghana, and in Ibadan. Institutions across these institutions that are going to be trained. So there's ample opportunity for training and retraining, which is what capacity building is talking about. Next slide, please. Thank you. So this genetic risk assessment for healthcare professionals, like I said, is not just for nurses, which is different from what happened in the previous D43, where the focus is on nurses only for oncology care, genetic counseling for oncology care. Next slide. I'm trying to speed. I know we have just 20 minutes more. Okay, this is very crowded, but trust me, it's just bringing down the spaces in which the training is going to be, the 4 weeks activities of the virtual training and the 2 weeks of hands-on, and of course the curriculum, what it's going to cover over this period of 6 weeks. Next slide. Yes, so capacity building is the key word here, and capacity building through D43 training grant is an ample opportunity. We've been told severally on this platform this day that there are so many opportunities that people have been exposed to. Institutional capacity training and training of large arena of people and interprofessional training. That's going to go a long way to ensure that we are enhanced, we are capacitated, we are empowered. But the key question here is sustainability. And the key word of this sustainability concerns you and I, especially in this era of Trumpization, or whatever name you want to call it in different arena. It is real. We are live with it. And when Professor Eze was speaking earlier on, he said he came out of a faculty meeting, and in that meeting, they were told that if you think that we're going to go back to era before now, that we are still sleeping. So we need to wake up. The earlier we wake up, the better, because things are not going to be the same again. So sustainability becomes much, much more important than before in this era that we find ourselves. Next slide. I think that's about all on that slide. Yes, thank you very much. In closing, I just want to say that my experience in D43 grant has been both sweet and bitter, because you try it and you apply it and you don't get it. You feel discouraged. You feel unhappy. You're like, you've done everything you need to do. And I'm very happy when I heard about the score. You know, many people don't understand that the lower the score, the better for you. So if you have a score of 9 or a score of 10 or 11 or below 20, fantastic. But if you have 27, 28, sorry, you know what it means. The higher the score, the better, the poorer the performance. So having a score that is very low makes you very happy, especially when you're asked to put in your other support. You feel like, yay, you have made it, and you're getting ready only to be told that, okay, there are so many people who had very good scores, and so with your other support, sorry, you could not be funded. So my experience personally has been both bitter and sweet. And it is sweet when you get it, when one is awarded and you're happy, and only one that is awarded can take away all the pains of the several that you applied and you didn't get. I hope I've not overshot my time. Thank you very much, Professor Eze, for giving me the opportunity, to share with you on this platform. Thank you. I tried to rush so that we could do everything within the time.
Thank you so much. Thank you. That was great. Thank you so much. Professor
you.
Jonah, yes.
Thank you so much. I don't know if Professor Jonah is there, but we are going to switch. And
The
please,
next speaker.
Riska, thank you so much. What you do is really, really critical. And I know that you bring in a very diverse thing that people don't talk. When we had Nisa last year, I don't know if you remember.
Yes.
We put in 10 million, right? For nurses.
Yes.
Do you remember that?
I do.
This
Thank
year
you so
again,
much.
we are paying for that session for nurses 10 million for that nurses. It is a gift because we want you to motivate a lot of nurses, because when you have a multidisciplinary team in a research, you do better. Doctors, nurses, basic sciences, so many different people. That's very good. So please stay back for the questions so that we will let our colleague Professor Luenga go through, and then we'll come back to like a panel discussion on both the case and the for the three again. But please get back.
Absolutely, I'm here.
Luenga, please take it over from there.
Okay, thank you so much, Professor Eche and Tonia. Thank you for having me. Thank you, Jonah, for that wonderful introduction. Well, I'm Olubenga Silas, as he has said. You have my slides there, or should I share from here? Is somebody sharing my slides?
No, you can go ahead and share from there, but we can also share, depends on what you want.
Are you seeing my slide?
Yes, very well.
Okay. Okay, so very quickly, I just want to let you know.
Sorry, Prof. Put it on slideshow. It's visible, but it's not on slideshow.
Let me share from here.
Maybe share from there. I have to challenge here.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it okay? Is it okay?
Yes, it is. It is. It is okay.
Okay. So just a brief. I have to be fast since you said we just have a short time. I'll just introduce by talking about our previous D43 grants. So we in JOS have 3 circles: first, second, and third circles. And the aim is for training, as everyone has said. So I'll also talk about other grants and research achievements during this training. And now the current D43, which I am the contact PI, and Jonah Musa is also an MPI. Then what's new in the structure of this new D43 that we have, the structure, the leadership, and the training sites, then the overall gains and challenges and the future plans that we have. Thank you. This D43 is an NIH-sponsored research and training initiative that have been pivotal to capacity building of researchers in universities in Nigeria, collaborating with us, University of Lagos and University of Ibadan. We have international collaborators, and Northwestern University, as you heard from Jonah, and Harvard have been a major source of collaboration and mentorship. So we have short-term, mid-term, and long-term training. We have online trainings and in-person trainings. The aim is to generally improve research capacity. So at JOS, we identified our strengths. We have a lot of HIV cases, and we also have a lot of cancer cases, especially cervical cancer, breast cancer, liver cancer. And we felt that this we have more strengths if we do research and improve our capacities in this. So these are the founders. So the first cycle of D43 that we got was in 2014, 5 years. It ran for 5 years. And the title was Northwestern and JOS University Research Training Program in HIV and Malignancies. It was focused basically on training and research capacity for epidemiology, clinical and laboratory research in HIV-associated cancers. The MPIs were Rob Murphy in Northwestern, and Li Fang Hu also in Northwestern. Then we had a JOS site PI, Sagi. After the 5 years, we had another cycle. We were funded, and the title of this program then was Northwestern Nigerian Research Training Program in HIV and Malignancies. So this time around, it's called NNHAM. And the focus was on cancer molecular epidemiology to improve our biostatistics and improve on bioinformatics and biomarker research. The MPIs were also international, foreign-based. Murphy was still there with Li Fang, but we also now had Lagos joining the JOS site. So Sage now has Ogunshola, who is currently the Vice Chancellor of UNILAG. Well, for these 10 years, what are the accomplishments? Like everyone has said, the aim is for capacity building, to train early and mid-term researchers, so career researchers. We've been able to train 2 PhD career students. Jonah Musa is one of them, and he was the first one that was trained, and he's an expert in cervical cancer prevention. We also have another one that was trained in lung cancers, epidemiology. We now had 7 master's degree programs in from this training, and 9 mentored seed awards. We have over 18 staff faculty enrichment trainings at Northwestern University. Like Jonah has told you about faculty enrichment, just barely just 1 month training in specified areas. We also had grant administration workshops. Over 70 staffs of the university were also trained. Multiple short and medium-term training seminars were also done, workshops, experiences. And we published like 13 first authored publications by these trainees after this cycle. And we had and won 2 supplement grants, seed grants, one to develop our cancer registry, to upgrade it from a hospital-based to a population-based cancer registry, and to link up this cancer registry to our HIV adult clinic. Then 2, to develop a telepathology we developed it and between Northwestern University, University of Lagos, and University of Jos, and it was very, very successful. Other achievements that we observed and we recorded was other grants that we got. So during this period, these researchers that we trained, many of them have been able to get a lot of grants. So we acquired an R21 grant. I was a PI. Then Jonah Musa, as he told you, as a K43 grant. Then we also had a U54 grant on epigenetic biomarkers of HIV-associated cancers in Nigeria. And we also had a U01 grant. We're involved in the U01 grant, a West African self-sampling HPV-based cervical cancer control program is still on. Then we also have a point of care diagnostic grant, which has to do with point of care technologies. Then we also gained about 2 catalyzer funds from Northwestern University, also to improve telepathology, and very recently on harassment and harassment in the workplace. So we got a grant to understudy and institutionalize an office of harassment and discrimination in the University of Jos, and it's going on right now and it's very successful. Then the current grant that we are on is the D43 grant, a third cycle. Like I told you, we've had about 2 cycles. This is the last one, the third one, and we got it last year. And we have 4 MPIs. I am the contact PI. I and Jonah Musa in Jos. We have 1 MPI in Lagos and another MPI at Chicago. So, well, the aim of this grant is because we decided to write this grant because we saw some gaps in the other grants that we had, in the other trainings that we had. We saw gaps in having the capacity to perform molecular epidemiologic studies, especially population-based, also biostatistics, bioinformatics, clinical validation of biomarkers and diagnostics. So we aimed at training cancer molecular epidemiologists and clinical researchers capable of population-based studies. We also wanted to be able to develop protocols for biospecimen handling, develop biomarkers and point-of-care diagnostic tests at PhD level. We also intend to train master's degree level in biostatistics and clinical investigation and epidemiology. Then overall, we want to create a multidisciplinary research team led by Nigerian investigators. So I really appreciate what Eche said. We have to really look inward. So this is what we did. We decided that this time around, Nigerian investigators were going to be the PI. We are going to run the things, and that's what is happening right now. So you will see the new structure in this current D43 that we have. We have a training advisory committee. We have principal investigators. All the principal investigators, the major ones, are in Nigeria. So you have Silas and Musa in Jos, Odukoya in Lagos, Akenbag. You definitely have to have a collaborator in the US. So we have Akenbag in the US. But our training advisory committee members, you can see Ogunshola, the vice chancellor of UNILAG, Sage in Jos, Leslie Mafwe. We only have one Murphy who is in Northwestern, who is actually our mentor. Then we divided the various trainings and into various sectors. We have the molecular and cancer epidemiology, who also headed by Musa and Zwaka, who are in Nigeria, and Anolu in Lagos. Also, HIV co-pathogen and diagnostic, headed by Nigerians, mainly Imade and Akamu. And also we have the heads of bioinformatics and biostatistics, Nenrot and Udukoya, Nigerians, and cancer pathology and genetics, Silas and Abdukarim in Nigeria. So this is the new structure while we were applying for this, and NIH, Fogati, they were really impressed about this. So we also aim to train PhDs, masters, have faculty enrichment programs, seminars, workshops, biomarkers. We want to develop biomarkers and point of care diagnostic kits to be able to help us in early detection, screening, and treatment and therapeutics. And we also aim to collaborate with other D43s that are around us. And so we were funded, and the notice of award was given to us on the 21st of June, 2024. Now, these are our achievements so far, right? So we have long and medium-term trainees that have returned back to their primary institution. Jonah Musa was trained in Northwestern University. I was also trained in Northwestern University. We are back, and we are developing the research space in Jos and in Nigeria at large. Then trainees have progressed from being co-investigators to MPIs. So as you can see, I and Jonah Musa are MPIs. We have also gotten a lot of other grants, K43, R21, U54, D43, and other catalyzer funds. We have progressed from being mentees to mentors. So, and we are also mentoring others too. And many of us are now at technical. We are also training others. We are also involved in developing research and training hubs for the sub-region. So just we have a molecular lab, and we are doing a lot of training, especially when it's HIV-based and HIV cancer-related trainings. So we are also networking with other institutions in the sub-region. So right now we have a collaboration with Mali, our UO1 self-sampling cervical cancer prevention is with Mali. We also have a very important banking facility. So we are banking a lot of tissues, samples, and data of HIV patients linked with cancers, right? And administrative and academic career has also improved, just like the other speaker has said. Many of us have become heads of department, deans of faculties, vice chancellors, board members, and thereon. And we have numerous publications. So the gains are: one, we have improved cancer and HIV data storage and linkage. Before these trainings, data storage and was really not very complete, not comprehensive, and scattered. But now we have a very robust cancer registry data, which is linked with HIV data and outcomes data. And we have also established an oncology department in the Jos University Teaching Hospital to be able to properly harness and manage these patients. We have established a tumor board. Telepathology is running well, and harassment program and discrimination program is also running well. We have numerous publications in high impact journals, and this has opened us to many more research grants. We have some equipments that have been domiciled here that are very helpful, not only for research, but also for our patients' care. FibroScan for liver cancer, which we have been using for diagnosing liver pathology. We have digital slide scanners that we are using and leveraging on our telepathology. We have currently an Attila HPV platform that can really help in diagnosing serotypes of HPV in just less than 40 minutes. We also have the red cap, and we also have a lot of minus 80-degree freezers and the rest. So this is building our capacity. We have trained so many researchers with competence, and one we have Jonah Musa, who's very known here. Then we have improved our cancer registry. The rating, our rating, University of Jos rating by different matrices have improved because of these research outputs. And we now have a very robust functional genomic lab and biorepository facility, which has been very helpful. Now, just to say this very quickly, well, the challenge that we have, which Jonah has said, is retainership. So this is the Japa syndrome, which is taking place. And so Fogarty is interested in how we can make sure that all these people that we are training are staying. So our new strategy, the strategy that we have is to ensure that we select people that really have ties, local ties, and people that will come back. And also we reduce sending people to the US for PhDs. We are now doing mostly our PhD trainings in Nigeria, and maybe just some competencies they'll go and learn less than 6 months in the US. Also, we want to establish more standard training and research centers in Africa to improve, and also to improve security. We are hoping that if the government improves security in this country, that most people will like to stay. If they also improve maybe the welfare of researchers and academics, we hope most people will stay. So my own personal desire for the future of NIH research training in Nigeria is to eventually establish a standard biorepository just to serve as a hub for this region. This will help translational science and help many that are interested in doing research. If you don't have a repository, you will not be able to do it. And we know the challenges, our electricity and the likes, funding and the likes. But this is my own dream. And creating a national research institute for training and research in the sub-region. And I want to really appreciate HA for what it's doing, because it's in line with what I thought would be very useful. And I'm happy that I got I got located. So I really would like to collaborate with you on this. The formation of a regional research and training consortium workshop with other institutes in sub-Saharan Africa. I just want to quickly acknowledge NIH, Fogarty, and all those that have supported us in JOS, and really want to say thank you to HA. And I just started reading about what you are doing, and I'm really impressed. I want to really appreciate what you are doing. And we in JOS, we are ready to be part of this and to support you whenever you need us. Thank you very much for listening. Well, these are some of our publications, as you can see. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I can, if you remember why we do Nisa Research Week, and there's a reason we do it in June. We do it in June for you to see why you need to come to the conference in September. Because in September, and he doesn't know it, but now he's going to hear it. You're going to see Professor Oluwenge in Abuja. So he's going to come and you are going to get a chance to have a cup of coffee. Why do we have to travel so far to find mentors when there are mentors sitting down in Nigeria that have in the same context? These are people, I can tell you, these are people who applied for these things from Nigeria with collaborators and won it. Which better mentor do you looking for? Somebody from Harvard who never worked in Nigeria? No, actually is that person in Harvard with their counterpart in Nigeria. That is your team. You want the US partner, you want the Nigerian partner, because there are so much contextual things they can guide you through. So we are having a session, which Olubenga and we're going to have a session for the D43s. So we are going to have all the D43s in Nigeria to come there, because I was in this meeting. I know that most of us are here, but there's a meeting happening right now at Fogarty, and they're talking about closing Fogarty. And they're talking about closing Fogarty. It was gloomy this morning, really talking about it, because if you see all the things Fogarty has done, but the truth is that all these were US money. So I'm going to start my question with you, and as we open the floor and go through the questions, I'm going to hand you back after I ask my question back to Bembe and back to Professor Donald, so that they can start going back to the questions that are on the Q&A. Remember, we are going to first of all address the questions that are in the Q&A. Everybody talked about it together. The best way they succeeded is by following instruction, right? So please follow the instruction and put your question if you want them to be answered on Q&A. We are not going to respond to questions in the chat, because it's very difficult to read the chat. The chat is there. We're going to save it to read it. But for questions, we're going to focus on the question and Q&A. So put your question in there. We're going to save our time now to begin on the question. So my question to you, Prof, is this. With all of these things going on with the US government, with all of the things changing, I think everybody has said, that's what they said, I forgot it. This is a wake-up call for African countries. South Africa is now accounting for almost 75% or almost 90% of their HIV program. There's another country, was it Zambia or something they called there today? There are 75% of their HIV programs that they're not taking care of. They're talking about the program, the funding program. South Africa now have their own offering this thing. To say the candidate for Nigeria, I found out about what they call Nigerian. I found out about Nigerian Grand Challenge. This was like last week. That I didn't know about that. I need to know about that fund grant in Nigeria. But I found about this Nigerian challenge that actually funded 10 grants this last week. So maybe Nigeria government is sticking up. But I want to ask you, have you had any discussion with the Ministry of Health, with the Ministry of Education about sustaining these training programs? That supposing you don't get additional funding from Fogati, supposing the US does not come to our shouting, our begging, our kneeling, and will the government of Nigeria step up to sustain some of the things that US has built the foundation for us as a country? Have you had that discussion?
Thank you so much, Professor Eche. I have not had that discussion with them at all, but of course, they don't read, otherwise it's all in our publications. Most of our publications, we have recommendations, and the recommendations are that we should domesticate research efforts here, and government should spend more on research. So I am hopeful that this, your program, your organization will be able to assist us in drawing in some of the people that are close to the politicians. We need to start probably getting in touch with the National Assembly and seeing how we can really push for this, because in the next few years, definitely, there might be no funding coming from outside again. So I totally agree with you. TED Fund probably is trying, but I think they can do more. They need to do more. And they have to reduce the bureaucratic bottlenecks in their submissions, because many of us feel it's not as free and fair the way NIH is. So I think we will get there, definitely. Thank you so much.
So this is some proposal that I'm putting on the table, and then we will open up the questions. We want all the D43 PIs or MPIs to come to Nisa in there. We want you guys to, last year, we have always had the minister, either the Minister for Education, last year was the Minister for Education, Dr. Lausa. He has a new thing that he's developing called Diaspora Bridge. I don't know if you've heard about it. But Diaspora Bridge is a way to say, can there be a collaboration between Nigerians who are, so now not only are we looking at the Northwestern, we are looking at Nigerians who are Northwestern, which you remember Taiwo was there in Northwestern, was very helpful. So now, we are now, even if we can't get the American that is there, we can get the Nigerian that is in Northwestern to say, please, you can continue to give us back, even if the US push a pause on those things, but the US has laid a very good foundation. Any Nigerian that said we have not benefited from the US government will be lying, because that's not true. All these programs we've been discussed has been from the US government. If they put a pause, in one way we can understand is a call of our own government. So this is my proposal to you, that in September, that the D43 will have this discussion, and I'm going to ask that you lead it and have this discussion among all the D43. And after that, the minister will be there. We will have him and ask these questions. And after that, we will write a position paper about the training grants in Nigeria and how the government can help. And again, like you said, the two things about the current Minister for Health, he came from the US. He finished Nigeria, he went there, he trained there, he benefited from it, just like I did. So that is not anything. The same thing with Dr. Lausa, the Minister for Education. He trained in Nigeria, he went to the US, he trained in the US, he came back. Just like I did come back to head the primary care agency for the short period that I'm there. Just like the person who is heading that MUI, who is a MPSC director. He finished. He went to the US, did his master's at Harvard, did his PhD at Hopkins. He came back. So there is those opportunity that we're hoping that these people that benefited from those kind of exchange to be able to say how can they continue those things open, and that's the thing. So Mui is gonna be there. The Dr. Mui Aina, who is the current MPSC director, because NISA, the Nigerian Imperial Science Alliance, is not an organization; it's an alliance, and it was intentional. So University of Jos is part of that, right from when Sege was there. So Sege was one of the founding members for NISA. So was former Minister for Health from University of Jos. He was actually the first speaker in NISA 10 years ago before he became minister.
Wow.
So that was so when the idea when I started NISA was not to be an organization, and it is not an organization, it's an alliance of universities. So instead of you going to go confront the minister, you come. He was a founding member of NISA. That time he was in charge of Solina Health. Solina Health have supported NISA every year with at least 5 to 10 million every year for 10 years. So this is not somebody who have not done that. Our organization at the Harvard Institute, we have given NISA $10 million, 10 million naira, not dollars. I wish it was dollars, but $10 million every year for the last 10 years. So these are organizations that have done that. University. The first government that put in money there was NACA under the Prosidoko. They gave 2 million 10 years ago. So you
Wow.
can remember. So the whole idea of NISA is an alliance, a common platform and forum to do that. What I'm doing is basically what you're doing. What I'm doing is that I believe I'm one of those who benefited and got from the society. My father was telling me how when they were at the University of Nigeria, they used to have a whole chicken before the war. After the war, we couldn't even find the water. And I told them they were the ones that spoiled our country. They had the chicken and they didn't leave chicken for us. So the idea is that we that benefited from this system, we should not destroy it for the future. We should find a way to make sure that even the things we didn't have, that they have more than everybody want their children to be better than they are, right? So we want them to, we want to be able to keep what they have, which we have, but actually give them opportunity to build on what we are giving them. So I'm hoping to see you in September. But yes, so back to Dr. Bembe and Professor Dona for the questions in and these questions can be directed to Professor Priska for her presentation can be directed to Professor Lubenge and also to the K43. So these three areas, defend anywhere that you can. Please send your question to the Q&A. Over to you, Dr. Bembe and Professor Jonah.
All right. Thank you very much, Prof. Ezanabli. So I'll just go through some of the questions we have here. Okay. So to Dr. Balogun, sir, and Professor Balogun. So we have a question regarding mentorship. So it says, what role did mentorship play in shaping your success during the K43 award? What advice would you give on maximizing mentorship opportunities within the K43 framework? Yes, please.
Thank you very much. Yeah, the K43 is basically just like you have said, and like as many have said, is as an individual career development funding. So mentorship is the foundation actually. My mentors, Professor Musa mentioned earlier about Professor Andrew Nock. Professor Andrew Nock actually directed my path towards the study of African trypanosomiasis right from my undergrad. So from there, he guided me and, developed that interest, that, inquisitiveness in me. He deposited it in me, and then from that, I built on that, on that trajectory. For mentorship, I will suggest that if you are applying for K43, it is important to be able to show that you have had a working relationship with that mentor, at least with the proof of either publication or your dissertation or your thesis, as the case may be. You don't just bring in someone from anywhere because you have to show that you have worked with the person and that person is actually your mentor. So mentors will read your proposal. After writing my proposal, I send it to my mentors and they read and criticize and make their inputs. And then, yeah, so they are very important.
Just to quickly add to that, to what Professor Balogun has said about the role of mentors. The mentors, because I mean, the mentors will have to write a very strong mentor support, I mean, a letter of support. And they have to itemize your relationship, your background, what you have done, what they will do for you during the period. So that mentor letter of support is also very critical. And sometimes, from my own experience, and I'm sure Balogun too can attest to that, you may have to even draft it yourself and then have your mentor to make it stronger. So for those who are planning to write the K43, it's not just having somebody who agrees to be your mentor, but the strength of the letter is very, very important because reviewers will see it to really see that this mentor is committed to mentoring you. He or she has seen this potential in you, and he's ready to devote this time and see that you succeed in your career. So, yeah.
To add one thing to that, just to give again, because I'm trying to find solutions to this question that you have. One of the things we did with Nisa is to reach out to everyone, like as you can see, that we're trying to pull everyone who have benefited from this system, and I'm making an appeal. Many of them have done this already. If you need a sample letter, a strong sample letter of a successful thing, please reach out to us at NISA. The email will be back there again. The Ivan Research Institute act as a coordinating center for NISA. But again, like I said, NISA is not an organization. I've shown the slide yesterday with all the different participants that are at the university that are part of it. But what we do is, as that clearinghouse, as that coordinating center, is that we will reach out to the individual who have received a K or a D43 and ask them, in some cases, would they share their strong letters? And in some cases, would they share their rights? What I always say, you have to write a specific M, just like you're looking for a good mentor. Show me the specific M. Show me that you have done your own part. Then in the grantmanship, I can say, here is grant to be able to do that. Or here is a letter of support that we got from here, so that you can help to draft, just like you said, draft those letters for the mentors to write. Because a lot of Nigerian, I don't know how to say this, but a lot of Nigerians don't know how to write support letter. They say, this is a very good person. They are very good people all over the world. They're not looking for good people. So they're looking for, they say, we are going to support him. Yeah, they can support him. They want to say, what will you do? We are going to make available our database. We are going to make available our bioregistry. We are going to make available our lab. What will you make available to support this person? So if you need a letter, you're writing these things, all you need, that's one of the things we do for the individuals that are part of that scholar program that I mentioned to you. That program is still one of the best thing, I believe, that we've been trying to give to Nigeria, because it is free and it's not grant funded. So we know that it's always going to continue there. But it's supported by all of these people who have gotten grants that are looking for very good way to give back. Professor Balogun was talking about it. You have to ask questions. Say, ask, let it be refused. Because they say to them who ask, they will receive. Them to them who knock, the door will be opened. To them who seek, they will find. I didn't say it. These are things that we all know. If you don't seek, you won't find. If you don't knock, you won't open. If you don't ask, you shall not receive. So these are things you have to do yourself. Don't wait for people to say, I don't have a mentor. Did you ask? Say, look, it's me. This is who I am. This is what I'm doing. I need your help. This is where I need your help. 1, 2, 3. So, but we can help you with that at NISA. So again, plan to be at the NISA conference. What we're trying to do is to bring all of these people to be there to help you the same way that someone helped them also. So that's what we're trying to be able to do. Thank you. So go ahead, Dr. Bembe.
Thank you. Next set of questions is on institutional support. So it's how did your institutional environment support or challenge your application process?
And
I'm
you
going
can
to ask
vary
the three
this.
of them
Any
so
of
that
them can pick up. Yes. Any of them
yes,
can
I'll
pick
just
up on
ask
this.
the
Or
three
you can,
and yes. So
okay.
the
Yes.
second one is okay. The first one said, how did your institutional environment support or challenge your application process? The second part of it, What forms of institutional support made the most difference during your experience? And then, were there any institutional barriers or gaps you had to navigate, and how? Thank you.
Very good questions. David, this is good questions.
Mhm. So should I start, or maybe I'll give room to the other colleagues to respond?
No, you can
Okay,
start.
so for
Okay.
us at
I'll
JOS,
pick. Okay,
okay, thank you,
go
Ma.
ahead.
You
Go
can
ahead.
go on. Okay, so for us
Go
at
ahead.
JOS, we have we had to talk to the management of the university to institute an Office of Research and Development. So that Office of Research and Development will take care of most of the administrative things, rudiments that have to do with the grant. And we also have a very strong accounting, budgeting team who are trained specifically to learn how to do budgeting and accounting for grants, so that we, the scientists, we focus on the science. This served as a great support for us, so that we don't have to veer into accounting and some administrative things. In fact, some of them even will be trained on how to search for grants and how to submit these grants, so that you don't have to suffer. So that's one support. Another support that they had for us is to ensure that they support you while you are away outside the country with your salary, because sometimes you might leave your family behind, and so that's another way they were supporting. And I'll just stop there as I let others talk. Thank you.
Well, just
Okay,
to quickly add to that, I think the question for the K43 really is to see how the institution will also, there's a format for writing the institutional support letter. They usually, either the vice chancellor or the provost or your dean will have to write that letter and make a statement of commitment that yes, you are a junior faculty or a faculty too, they are willing to give you that 75% protected time. It has to be clearly written in the paper or in that particular letter of support. So if your institution don't write, we support you, write this grant, and they don't bring in those technical aspects of the institutional letter of support, it will be underscored. So it has to be stated very clearly, black and white, that yes, this is our staff. We are committed to seeing he or she succeeds. We will devote the 75% of his or her time to support his or her research. The institutional environment for research is there, and we will give everything that is needed. So such type of letters, you have to prepare them, and usually it begins with the applicant. All right, you have to draft that. Vice chancellors don't have the time to write all those things. So what HA talked about is very critical. If you need a sample, you need to ask and they'll provide it for you, because all those details, if they are not specified, reviewers will underscore your application. Thank you.
in addition, apart from the vice chancellors and the principal officers not having the time, they don't know the details of what you're applying for. So you are the best candidate to actually craft your own letter. Many people don't understand that it is important that you, who knows exactly what you're looking for, what you're asking for, craft that and conceptualize it, and then they can now rubber stamp it, so to speak, and then and then endorse it. But I want to say, for me, it wasn't as easy as it is now then. Yes, now we have various colleges having research institute, research management offices, and all of those that fast track things. But initially it was not like that. So it's like everybody just doing their own thing. And like the last speaker said, it's not easy to be coping with the science of what you're writing and thinking of how to craft the budget in a way that is going to meet the allowables and all of that. It's not easy. So if you have individuals or groups facing different aspects and doing what they're supposed to be doing, while you concentrate on the meat of what you want to apply for, fantastic. So initially in early days, it wasn't like that, but these days and contemporary days, you have several institutions having facilities, offices, like colleges, research institute, like management, RMOs, research management offices, and so on and so forth. That is facilitating and enhancing this. So it's very important to actually have a support institution supporting you, saying what you are going for is going to enhance the internationalization of the institution, making them understand that while you are away, your job is secure. You are returning. It gives your funders the hope that you are not out there to jackpot. I know K43 is specific, but there are some that are not, and many people can just run away from there. But when you're from your institution, you have a letter that says that this candidate is coming for this and is going to return to his duty place. I know sometimes, irrespective of the letter, some people don't, but then generally speaking, it backs up whatever it is that you're asking for. Thank you.
So
So I put in, thank you so much. I put in something on the thing for you to see on the screen. So this is NCURA, is National Council for Universities Research Administrators. These are for universities in the US. So what was decided last 2 years at Nisa was something like this, that we should put something like this together for Nigeria, which Nisa did. So last year we brought them to Nisa in Abuja. They came to Abuja. They came to be able to do that. So we have a partnership with them, so that if you are a member of NISA, you will get membership here at a reduced cost. If your institution is one of those things, you get a reduced cost here. And also there is a grant G11 for research capacity. I think Jos has had it. University of Ibadan has had it. I think University of there are 4 universities and University of Nigeria. The difference between the one we had on University of Nigeria is that we actually did something different. We put it a little bit, not just to be in University of Nigeria, you see it at the Fogati Institution, where developing research infrastructure. So we did it under NISA. So what we did is that if you are an institution in Nigeria and your institution does not have the capacity to support those grant things you're talking about, those letters, those things there, we will do that for you. Because you are Nigerian, you can write a grant through this place. So even though, let's say you are at University of I don't want to mention Sogongara, and then your university is a new university, but you are a rising star there. You don't have people who have done this before. And this is for me in the US. I was the first person to get an NIH R01 in my institution. So I understand in the US. So I understand the challenges. So if you are in such institutions, we can help you here. We can help you provide that. We have 5 full-time people on grant management that is there. And that is one of the things NISA does, is pulling those resources together. That G11 have ended. The NIH funding has ended. Why is it continuing? That's what NISA does. So that is still there for you to provide there, to reach out for you, to help you get letters, sample letters for you to take a look at. We do ask that we have to see your specific aim, so we know that you're actually, doing your part. So we're not looking for everybody to say, "Oh, my problem is mentees, mentors." We want good mentees too. So prepare yourself. So if you come in, my first thing is, what are you doing? To see whether it's worth it. But if it is worth it, that you are actually going there and you just need that support, we will provide that for you. We will do all the administrative thing for you to support that grant. The second thing, so these are the 2 things I do want you to be able to be aware of that the Nigerian Implementation Science Alliance can do for you. Again, we are going to bring this again. We have a workshop last year. We are having another workshop this year. Again, each of these workshops at NISA cost money because we have to get a hall and everything, not any, and they keep the registration at NISA at $100. That's what it was in 2015, $100. 2025, 10 years later, $100. Why are we keeping $100? Because of the support of institutions. All these people who have gotten grants, the D43, they actually use NISA for their dissemination. So they actually put funding and support. Last time, it was another one of the D43 from Bayero University that put some money and actually organized this kind of workshop for. Last year for the NISA, it was the University of Nigeria that put the 10 million to organize the workshop. That is going to happen again as a post-conference at NISA. So if you're coming to NISA, not just as an investigator, bring your grant management office, because there is now an association that we have of all grant management associations in Nigeria. There are now 100 of them that are under that attended last year, and we are building on that. So again, the email is in the chat box. Send us an email if you want your grant management people to join that. That is going to form the first thing that we already formed that was going to be in partner with this. The Nkura is the one that's out the U.S. universities, all U.S. universities, Harvard, Hopkins, Northeastern, Duke, all of them are part of Nkura. What we're trying to do here is to be that same thing for all the places in Nigeria where we can provide that kind of support and where research administrators can share ideas. There is something that I learned last year from them. They say investigators compete, grant administrators collaborate. So they don't compete, they collaborate. So they share everything to support investigators in their institution to succeed. Thank you so much. Dr. Bembe, move on. I think we take a
Thank
few
you.
more questions and then we can stop. And then we know that we
Yeah.
can't cover everything. We're already more than half an hour beyond time. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. So the next set of questions have been arranged under personal challenges and reflections. Then I'll take the three of them together. The first says, what challenges did you face during your journey and how did you overcome them? The second is, what unexpected lessons did you learn while implementing your projects? And can you describe a turning point or key learning experience during your journey? Thank you.
And then if Pascal, you can pick up from there and then we let each other person.
Okay, let me talk about one experience. It's quite a time now, though. I met some guy somewhere and they asked me to apply for something and they told me to write it in a particular way. So when I got back to my institution, I went to my head of department and I wrote what they asked me to write and I gave to her and she flared up. How will you write for me what I'm going to sign? I'm the one to write. And so for you writing it, I will pick somebody else to go for this and not you because we are the one to choose who we go and all of that. Eventually, I lost that thing and they picked someone else and that person was not taken and we lost that opportunity. I learned a lesson for me so that when I grew up, I became head of department, I became dean. It became clear to me that we should never lose an opportunity because we don't understand something. We should try and pull up the younger ones and instead of losing that opportunity, although the opportunity later came back because they now wrote directly to our institution asking for me specifically. So that opportunity still came back to me. But by that time, that head of department was no longer on that seat. So that was a big lesson for me now, relating with younger colleagues and trying to pull them up. I hope it's a lesson for someone as well. Thank you.
So practical lesson here. When we're talking about a mentorship and mentors, uh, you have to select people who really can be mentor. Don't select people based on your religion or based on somebody that you like. The CV of the individual, you have to screen the people that can be your potential mentors and then decide on who has what. So I spoke with once a candidate. I lost my mentor. That was Professor Andrew Nock. I prepared my first application was with Professor Andrew Nock as my mentor, but along the line he passed, and then I was stranded. But luckily, so I had to now re-strategize. My mentor, who served right now as a mentor for me, he was one of my MSc supervisors. But we didn't have much papers together, so I had to now write papers, included him as co-author, and that was very helpful. So one of the persons that I identified, I looked at his CV, I asked him, Prof, do you have papers? He said, oh, I have a lot. But for NIH, I'm sure they will tell you, all these other professors will support that. The papers that NIH count are those that are PubMed indexed, most of them. So if they are not, if you have many papers and they're not PubMed indexed, just you have to re-strategize. So I think this is something very practical that I must point out. So that professor had tens of papers, maybe about 80 papers, but only I think 5 were PubMed indexed. So I had to drop him. So yeah.
Oh, very practical experience. I have what I call 50 papers I call lost papers. This nobody told me. Now, and if you want to publish anything I'm writing with you, I'll tell you, is it on PubMed? If it's not on PubMed, please do not waste my paper on that journal. I have 50 complete papers that I call lost. You don't find it anywhere. They never, those are those predatory journals that you get. You pay amount of money, they publish it on their website, and then you think anybody is seeing it, nobody is seeing it, they collect your money. And then down the road in your career, it hurts you because you have submitted your most important career to your papers to those places. So please learn from that. Professor Lubenga, any response to that?
Yeah, well, I just want to add this, not directly the way you guys are going, is just to say that you have to be able to identify people that have a quest for research. Because I discover as a medical doctor that it's not everybody that are having a drive to want to do research, because research also involves dedication, discipline, focus. So you need to identify them. And I was very quick to identify a friend, Jonah Musa, and you can see since in the early 2000s till now, we formed a research group and we have been working together. Like one of the challenges that we have now in this D43 is to identify people that are interested in actually this master's or PhD program. And we really had a challenge in getting people interested in the master's program because most of the clinicians are not ready to enter the university system. They really just want to do the clinic work. You understand? So you must be able to identify people that are interested in research so that it will be easy for you to form a hub, help yourself, stimulate one another, challenge one another, and definitely the mentors will locate you and you will be able to locate them, just as Professor Eche has said, and you'll be able to flow. So not everybody will love to do research. Thank you.
I want to say something. This is very important thing. Thank you so much. I want to say important thing to this. They call them three stools of academia: the teaching, the research, and the service, which is clinical care for the medical doctors. I want to let you know, and I want to be very candid about it. There is none of them that is inferior to the other. If your career decide for you to teach and that's what you want to teach, by all means, be the best teacher there is. If your career is been in the clinical care and that's what you want to do, by all means, please, because you're the one that's going to develop the cohort that we're going to use for research. So do the clinical care. You can still be part of those, as a teacher, you can be part of the D43. As a clinician, you can part of any of the research that you're doing because but there are people who do research. And everybody can tell you, I do research because I'm a professor. That is not true. That, again, saying that teaching is not inferior to clinical care. Clinical care is not inferior to research. Research is not superior to any of them. There are people who teach. There are people who do clinical. There are people who do research. And there are people who manage to do three of them. Okay, that is there. When I have my research and I focus on my research, I tell you too, I was 100% research funded by NIH. I wasn't doing clinicals anymore. I do 1 week a week, one clinical, 1 day a week. I go and see patient. So it was very difficult for me to see patient every day and do the research. When my research funding go down, I pick up more clinical. So you can vary it like that. That's how you do it to balance it. But it's very difficult for you to be all things teacher, all things clinical, all things research. So just because the person is a professor doesn't mean they are research professors. In the US, they actually have that now. They have professor, clinical track, professor, research track, professor, teaching track, because recognizing that these three types are important for an university and not inferior to the other. So thank you all so much. I think we're going to come down to the end of this, but what we're going to do is that I'm going to do this. I'm going to beg them and I'm going to ask them to say that I'm asking Priska, I'm asking Dr. Professor Balogun, and I'm asking my friend Oluwenga that they come to Nisa September. And that these questions that you have on the Q&A that we don't finish, that we're going to ask those questions directly in front of them, and then maybe we can get a picture with them for all of you that were here inside this year. So please, Dr. Professor Balogun, Professor Adejumo, and Professor Wenga, will you be able to come to NISA in September?
God will help
You
us.
don't have to answer me. I was kidding. I don't want to put you on the spot. So I don't want you to say, there, but I want to appeal to you because you have seen just how much hunger there is in our country. And just because NIH, Fogarty may not come this year like they have always come, Fogarty has come to NISA every year for the past 10 years. But of course, we know that they're not coming this year. because of all the stuff that is going. So we need our people to pick up and continue. So I want all of you to come there to say thank you to Fogati, but we are holding the ground strong. You didn't waste your money. You didn't waste your support. We are here to continue the good work you have done. We all have gotten grants, including myself and all of you that are here today. I want us to be back there in there and said, we are standing because we feel like what Fogati started, we can continue, even if we don't have all the funding that they supported us with. So I want to see you then, and I want to thank you for taking time from your busy time to come here. Please convince your institution why Nisa is important. It's an institutional membership, it's an alliance, it's not an organization. So there is every institution that is part of Nisa sits on the board. So all the board of Nisa is made up of institutional representatives. There is no ownership of. I have as chair, there as founder and the chair for the board of trustees, but so is Dr. Dakum from IHVN, so is Bola from CIHP, so is Prosper from EPIN, so is Emmanuel Loco from CCFN. So all of these teams are all the people that is there to be able to make sure that we actually put implementation practice. So our implementing partners to implementation science, which is our universities and all the research, and put them together and bridge that gap between science and practice. So thank you all so much for coming today. And I hope that all of you that come here, that you can still join us tomorrow. Tomorrow, we are going to be bringing in and having the pleasure to have the NHBLI, which funds Piscara, that fund your grant, NHBLI from NIH. They're going to be speaking tomorrow on implementation science for chronic diseases. On Thursday, there is going to be the National Institute of Mental Health. So if you are interested in mental health and you have grants from those areas, that's another discussion. And on Friday, we'll round it up with National Cancer Institute. So they will be here to discuss that. So please join us. It's 2 hours every day. Today, we went up a little bit more because today is a very important training thing that we think is critical to our country's survival and critical to sustainment. So thank you, everyone, for coming. And Sonia, if you can show the slide again, and leave it off of the programs for the rest of the week so that people can see it. But thank you, everyone, for joining, and have a great day. And please join us tomorrow. Thank you. Can you enlarge it a little bit more?
I just want to announce the call for abstracts that is ending this Friday for the NISA conference, the Nigerian Implementation Science Alliance Conference. So the abstract call is out to be ending this Friday. We've shared the link is on the chat for people who are interested in sending their papers. Details are on that link. Thank you. So we want to thank everyone for attending today, and see you tomorrow is day 3. Like Professor Eche has said, we'll be looking at implementation science for chronic diseases. See you tomorrow, same time, 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. And if it gets as exciting, half as exciting as today's, it might shoot to 8 p.m. Thank you, everyone, and bye-bye.
Thank you, Professor Nyaka. Thank you for leading this program. Thank you so much. We really appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
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 Dr. Bemba, I sent you a message. Call me later so that we can talk a little bit.
Okay, Prof.
Thank you, Ikenna. Thank you so much. I know you guys on the background. You make this happen. Thank you. Thank you, Amaka. Thank you all so much. Very grateful to all of you for making this go well. Thank you. Thank you, Prof. I agree with you. Clara says it's time well spent. I agree with you. If we spend our time like this, and this is what we spend, I know we may have missed one Nigerian movie for the last 2 hours. That's how long it takes to watch one Nigerian movie. But I think this movie is very rewarding time. So maybe out of this week, we will miss our Nigerian movie this week, but spend that week. I think at the end of this week, Friday, you will not miss another NISA Research Week any year, because you'll find out that this is really very useful for you.